vulnerable.
Hello, Sonder family. Welcome to your weekly setup. I threw our Sonder Club question of the day on our opening slide tonight, and you have made me smile by sharing the things that make you smile. So thank you for brightening my afternoon. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I get to be your facilitator this evening as we get ready to set up for a brand new week. My co-facilitator who will be watching that chat and asking or answering questions if they come up or pointing you to the right direction for things is the amazing Malika. And Monica and I realized we haven't worked together in a long time. We had a little catch-up session when we were getting ready. So I'm seeing lots of great lots of people I see that I know. I see those names, those repeat names, and it's so good to see you. But I also noticed we have some first timers. So welcome to your accountability group. We love these socials because we know that they're there. Folks are waiting on us. You may have your cadence, you know exactly what you're going to do on these pages that we're going to be tackling tonight. But you are here because it's that piece that makes this journal work 100% in your life because you are being held accountable to gathering together and doing a little bit of pondering. So I'm so glad to welcome those first timers. You can put a me there if you would like, or maybe you're returning. Andrea said, I've been on vacation. I missed a few. I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready to go. So maybe some folks are back who have been away for a bit. And maybe some of you are getting ready to take a vacation. School's winding down and, we're getting into that travel time. So we're glad to welcome you. So many of you are here. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I think you will find these socials to be great. Now, really quickly, this social, as well as all the other socials we do, it's being recorded and you will be emailed a follow-up email to our time together where you will have that link. Malika will also share the link for our private YouTube channel. So you can always access this social, but as any of the others as well. If you miss something on the screen or you have to get up and get called away for something. I'm going to give you a pro tip. If you are brand new and you haven't seen lots of these examples of our pages, grab your phone and just take a quick screenshot or get those screen print keys ready on your computer so that you can save some things that you might want to think about using. Now, you're going to be invited to use your journal just as it is, but I've also gathered a lot of examples that you've shared in Sonder Club to maybe give you something to think about. Maybe there's something that will help you have a more productive week if you change something up in your journal. Make sure that chat is set to everyone so that because we do a lot of sharing, a lot of support of each other. Here are those community guidelines. You will see this in Sonder Club when you're on that app, but also at our anytime we gather together because we want to remind you that we create safe spaces in this community. So, we want you to be courteous to everybody, also to yourself. No promotions, no spam. We respect privacy. What happens in Sonder Club stays in Sonder Club, especially if some of us have met one another in real life. And so we want to make sure we're respectful there. No hate speech. Again, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Malika will do her best to point you in the right direction for that answer. And finally, so these socials, these times together, it's a tool. And it's supposed to help you, and it elevates your emotional health to help you be the best version of you that you can be. But sometimes we dig into stuff that can make us feel a little tender. And tonight, especially with our mind map. So if there's ever a time that something's uncomfortable, please give yourself the space to sit back, maybe make some notes and tackle those things when you are in a better headspace. We want you to take good care of yourself. Now, this month's theme, love monthly themes because those themes help us get to know ourselves better. And this theme of trust has been one of the heavier ones. Last month was play. This month is trust. And we've been looking at trust in our lives in lots of different ways. Malika and I were talking. She asked me, "Have you written your trust letter yet?" And I said, "No, think I'm gonna write it to my mom, and so I'm kind of waiting. I need to go stay with her for a few days, and I think I'm gonna wait until I get home to do that." But she was talking about how powerful writing that trust letter was for her. So, we've got these heavier topics, but man, do we grow when we dig in. So tonight we're going to do a little digging in. We're going to start with our trust mind map. Now, if you're here for the very first time, no worries. The mind map is a weekly bonus prompt that you get when you come to these weekly setups. These are not in your journal, and you can do them on, a blank space, a blank space, blank notes page. Maybe you have a thoughts journal that you do your mind map in. But this is kind of the bonus for coming to weekly setup. So we take our monthly theme and look at it through a different lens each week. So we're going to work on that. If you were here for the opening song, that was like my little hint to what we're going to be working on this evening. Then we're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection, which is just looking over last week and sharing those things with one another. And then we'll dig into those weekly setups. So, as I mentioned, we are digging into that theme of trust through this mind map. And we know that trust can kind of, be a complex thing to talk about when you look at your relationships and yourself. And I truly believe that our ideas on trust are truly rooted into our childhood and what was around us in that environment when we were young and growing up. And so some of us may have a little more work to do with that trust theme than others. I know that it is something that I continuously work on in my life, and I'm an old lady. So week 1, if you weren't here, was trust to forgive. Week 2 was trust for strength. How does trust play into making you a strong person? And this week, trust for vulnerability. Whew, that one's kind of a deep dig. I said I started with a little spoon, to dig into it, and I ended up with a shovel. So everything I'm talking about this evening is from Brene Brown, who is a researcher at the University of Houston. She has done a ton of work on trust, on being vulnerable, on being authentic to yourself. So all of the stuff that I'm going to kind of discuss as we think about what trust and vulnerability looks like in our life is from Brene Brown. So here's this quote: "We need to trust to be vulnerable, and we need to be vulnerable to be able to trust, to be able to build trust." So it's kind of this continuum. It's not one and one two different things. Very much there's this interplay of trust and vulnerability. And she says armoring up and protecting our egos, right? Putting up those walls, and I'm really good at that. Have to be so aware of that. That rarely leads to productive, kind, and respectful conversations. And so she has these 7 elements of trust that I would like to take just a moment to kind of visit on. And it ends up you can see the word braving that it is formed from these 7 elements. So the first one, and she talks about, when you look at these things and you employ them in your day-to-day life and you use them, and they call it as a rumble tool, which is like that conversation, that back and forth. I love that, a rumble tool, like let's get ready to rumble. But she says here are 7 elements in this inventory, and you can do a deeper dig into this at another time if you want to explore a little bit more about what Brene shares. She says, first thing, you got to have boundaries. You got to know what's clear, what is okay, what is not okay, and the why behind that. right? Why do we feel this way? The second thing is reliability, which means, you do what you say you'll do. And it's both ways. It's like what we expect from others, but also what do others expect from us? We don't want to overpromise. We want to be able to deliver on commitments. The next thing is accountability. And that means that we own our mistakes and we apologize and we make amends. Talk about being vulnerable, but that builds trust. Then we have the vault, which means we don't share information or experiences that are not ours to share, not our story. We share our story. And I need to know, that people are going to keep my confidences. And I want people to know that if you've told me something, I'm going to hold that in confidence. So that vault is so important. And I definitely learned that as an administrator of a school when I had to talk to families and things that were going on. um, Integrity is the next thing. And she says that it's kind of all about choosing courage over comfort, always making the right choice, not the fun, fast, or easy choice. So it's really about practicing your values, not just saying your values. So it's kind of the hard work that we put in. That's what integrity is. The next to the last one is being non-judgmental. I can ask for what I need, and you can ask for what you need, and we can talk about that without any judgment. We don't have to, I always say your feelings aren't right or wrong. They just are. You don't have to justify those feelings. And when you um, stand with non-judgment, that's very vulnerable for people. And then finally, my favorite is generosity, just always being open, not assuming the worst in the situation, just being generous with your thoughts. So Renee says if you have these 7 elements of trust, it means you're leaning into vulnerability, you're going to stay curious and generous, you're going to stick with that messy middle of a problem identification and solving. You're not taking that easy route. You're going to take a break and circle back when necessary, taking that pause. That's so hard to do. And then you're going to be fearless in owning our own parts. So, I want to give a shout out to our Thinking Traps assessment in Silk and Sonder. Now, our past exclusive this week did a deep dig into thinking traps, and I think all of us needs to take that assessment. Malika's going to drop that in the chat. Now, don't take it now because I think you really need to be quiet, take some deep breaths before you tackle this. But I believe if you really focus in on your thinking trap, then you are going to find the areas that um, you are vulnerable, most vulnerable, and how that works when you're looking at trust. For me, my big thinking trap is I should. The shoulds that I have. I should do this. I should have done that. What they should have done was da, 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 putting that judgment in there. And I know this, and I work on it daily. So in my space for this week, I have thought about I need to lighten up and not put so much pressure on myself, which will be extended to those in my life. I need to not put up those walls. I need to just open myself from just being, open and vulnerable and accepting of myself. It's okay to not be okay. Of course, stop shitting myself. And I need to ask for help because I forget that people can't read my mind. I need to just put it out there, and open myself up to that. And then again, taking that pause and stepping back and kind of analyzing why. And maybe asking myself, there's an exercise about asking yourself why 5 times to dig deeper and deeper and deeper about how you may feel about something. So let me stop talking for a moment while you sort of let this kind of bounce around on your page, in your mind. Start thinking about the areas of vulnerability in your life and how those are viewed when you put it through the lens of trust. And I'll be back to check in on you in just a moment. Okay, you're probably gonna need a little more time to really continue this dig into trust because it is such a big part of who we are. And I do love the quote that's up at the top of this current slide that vulnerability is not oversharing, it's sharing with people who have earned the right to hear our stories and our experiences, who have earned the right. And it works the same way. Who in our lives feel that we have earned the right to hear their stories. And I think when we can frame it out that way, we know how to trust in the healthiest way for ourselves. So thank you for working on that. So we are now going to be working on our rosebud thorn reflection for this past week, and I'm flipping through my pages, and I did not change our page number to the right number. We are actually on page 44 this week. And so our rosebud thorn reflection is that moment where we look at the things that we want to celebrate, those roses from the week, the things that we're grateful for, what's positive, what's great in your life right now, what's something you're looking forward to. What is that bud? That's another fun thing to look forward to. And sometimes it could be as simple as a new week. And then finally, the thorn is what is stressful, what is causing some anxiety, what is a hiccup. Maybe it is something that's permanently there. Maybe there are health issues that you struggle with. Maybe it's a temporary thorn. But we just put a lot of power in paper when we do this reflection. We celebrate our week together and we hold space for one another as we work through the thorns. For me, my daughter was with us for a few days. I get to be her boarder for her crazy little dog. And she actually flew to my area from a work trip, and I got to hang out with her for a little while. And that was my rose. And again, the bonus is getting to hang with the pup. My bud is I have book club coming up. It's on Tuesday. I'm on page 15 of 347 pages. So my bud is I get to explore how to cram. Nothing changes. I'm still that student who just does good under pressure. So I'll be doing a lot of reading over the next couple of days. That's my bud. And then the thorn is my daughter also became ill with pneumonia. She went to a clinic here. She is really, really sick. Her fiance came and picked her up today. She's on the upswing slightly. Big thank you, antibiotics, but I'm feeling something, and I don't know if it's psychosomatic or what, but I'm kind of like, is there something starting to go on here? So we ate after each other, so I fully expect to have not a great week. So there's mine. I would love to know yours. Please drop those in the chat while we do this reflection and support one another. And we want to celebrate with you as well as, again, hold space for those thorns. And I'll be back to check in with you in just a moment. you so much for taking time to be a little vulnerable and share with your Sonder family those things that brought you immense joy, but also those things that were tricky this week, those thorns. We celebrate with you and we are here for you. Again, one of those things about a trusting community. That's exactly what we have here with Silk and Saunders. So now let's dig into planning our week ahead. We're going to be working on pages 46 and 47 this evening. I have a couple of examples to share with you from your Silk and Sonder family members. Now, I am typically just, a black pen kind of gal in my journal. I get stickers. I started using some of the stickers, but your journal needs to serve you. And so if you need a little art therapy, get those colors going, get those doodles going. But it's okay to just be plain black and white as well. That's permission to make it work in your life. So we're going to set up these 2 pages for our week, and we start by thinking about how we would like to feel for the week. And if you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you like the word that you've been using the last couple of, just bring it forward. You don't have to change it up every week. You know what your week is going to bring you. But as you're thinking about that week, drop that in the chat. Like, I know a lot of educators are like, I need to feel calm this week because we're wrapping it's the end of the school year. Or perhaps you have a big week of celebration. Drop that in the chat. How do you want to feel this week when you consider what the week is going to be bringing you? And there's Kai with her encouraged, with an emphasis on the courage. I love that you are bringing that forward from last week. Thank you for sharing that. Lots of back on tracks. That's for me a lot of the time. Mandy saying serene. I love that. Is there something you need? Do you need one word, several words, a mantra? Maybe there's a sticker that will, kind of grab that feeling for the week. What is a focus? I'm seeing hopeful and upbeat. There's a bunch of other words. So we've got energetic, worthy, unstoppable, productive. These words, we're claiming our week by sort of starting to think about how the feeling for the week is going to play out in setting up the rest of the things that we have going on, our goals for the week, our to-dos, our habits, our activities. So lots of great words you've dropped in that chat. So now let's take those words and start looking at those goals we have for the week as well as the to-dos. Now remember, your goals are kind of your whys behind your week, and the to-do list is how you're going to get there. And I like to think, the to-do list never really end, right? But your goals might. You may get to a point where you meet a goal, but those to-do lists are just a constant, right? So they're always there. We have in our journal, you are invited to use it just as it is, with those 3 weekly major goals. Now you can have one goal. I know Meha is with us and she'll say, well, what if you have 5 for the week? Again, a reminder that you do what you need to do to make this tool work for you. You can go take a look at those intentions you set or your habit tracker, that monthly habit wheel. What's on there that could be brought into thinking about what your goals should look like this week? Perhaps you lean into trust and really focus, especially this week, on being vulnerable. Or maybe you have some go back and look at the very front end of this month. Are there some undons that you need to bring forward? Now, if the goals aren't speaking to you, there's a whole list of ways that you can repurpose this space and drop something else in there. I always like to think about framing out our goals through a no mindset. What needs to be taken away, subtracted, something that's not serving you? And so there's a couple of examples of how folks have kind of created no goals for their week. You could also take a personal challenge and frame those goals around that. So you can see someone is doing celebrate during the week. And so all their goals have to do with celebrating and how they're going to do that, or a gratitude focus for the week. And then each one of their goals leans back into that gratitude. You can also just take different categories and then plug in a goal for that. So three or four different categories. And here's some great examples of how our Sonder family will do that. When you see that word frog, people, what is that? That is that kind of that eat the toad, eat the frog, do that thing that you don't want to do, but you need to do. I always think that's kind of fun to frame it out that way. Again, a couple more examples of that. You can see someone has 4 goals for their week, and it's a reading goal, a writing goal, a moving goal, and some work goals in there. So again, doing what serves you. Now, you can also take your goals and directly create your to-do list from those goals. So you put your goal and your to-dos are going to be directly tied in to that goal, as you can see by these examples from Sonder family. I love this one that's on the upper right. There are 3 goals, 1 thing I must do, 2 things I want to do, and then 3 things I am proud of, and leaving that space blank and kind of going back and doing a reflection as the week kind of travels along. So just a little different way of looking at that. Here's what that to do list can look like if you break it down into need, want, and hope to do, and some real examples of that. The Eisenhower matrix, it's a favorite. Again, if that to do list is super duper long, this little grid here of 4 squares will help you prioritize the most urgent and important things down to perhaps the things that can be deleted. Now, I know lots of us may have, we may be a single person household and there's no deleting. It's got to happen, right? So perhaps you sub out a word that speaks to what's going on in your life, like delay. Maybe it's something you could put off until later. Decline, decrease, discontinue. So, take the words that speak to you, but this is a great tool if you've not ever utilized or tried the Eisenhower matrix. I also, again, driving home the point of what doesn't serve you. What can you take away? So perhaps a not to do list. And there is a great example of that. Make a not to do list so that you are only doing things that serve your life in an effective way. Perhaps your to-do list looks a little less like the to-do list here on the left and more like a to think list. Maybe some things that need some pondering time, some rumination. So your list could look a little more broad like that. And then we've got lots of us are on Team Tada. I put my to dos in my weekly spread: Monday to dos, Tuesday to dos, Wednesday to dos, and I leave the to do list blank. And I add the extras that I get done so that I can celebrate those. And then I also love the to be list, maybe stopping for a moment and thinking about how do you need to be this week? It might support directly that feeling word that you used. What do you need to be for that to happen? So let's take just a few moments to work on these 2 sections. Share in the chat. Do you repurpose? How do you set your goals? What do you use these spaces for? And how do they serve you? Because that will help our fellow Silk and Sonder members. I really love this community and how you all interact with each other and support and cheer each other on. And Megan said, she has been carrying her goals over from week to week, and that's okay because goals take a while to happen. But then Monica jumped in and said she was able to stop carrying over those goals all the time when she just focused on the habits that she was following. So one task after work. I have found that I am much more productive that way. So that is a perfect segue into this next section that we're going to work on. So thank you for that, Monica, because we are going to look at our habit and activity tracker for the week. Now, we have the big habit wheel at the front end of our monthly, when we do our monthly setup, and it's the things that we want to do most days of the month, right? And so those kind of repetitive habits. But this weekly tracker can be adjusted depending on what you have going on in your week. So like Monica said, I just put some of those things down in these habits and these activities or habities. Our other facilitator, Maya, coined that word, habities. Um, to think about, how if you're putting it there and then you're really tracking and paying attention to that, you get it done. So I'm gonna refer back to what's not serving you. Are there some habits that can be cut or eliminated? Those could go in your habit tracker. James Clear says, habits are a double-edged sword because bad habits can cut you down just as easily as good habits can build you up. So there may be some things in this tracker that need to be eliminated. There's lots of ways to set this up. You can set a certain number of times you want to do it or just simply track it. You can see some great examples from our Sonder family. You might want to circle days when specific things need to happen. And that's again that small, a little accountability piece. When you see that and that day is circled, I've got to work on that. I want to point out the one at the top where you see circled night walk with audiobook. And I want to talk really quickly. I love the idea of habit stacking. I talk about it generally at most of my weekly setups because habit stacking is taking something you're already doing and pairing a new habit with that thing. And then chances are you're going to see better success than just taking on a new habit by itself. So I always like to just give a shout out to that when we do that. And so you can just see how folks have set this up. There's not a right way or wrong way. You can do one habit or activity, or you can fill in every line. Again, what is going to serve you this week? Let me put on some music while you take a look at these different trackers, and then maybe share in the chat. What are you tracking this week? And I'll be back to check in with you in just a moment. Okay, and I always like to share a couple of my weekly habits are always go check your monthly habit tracker. Go do the gratitude tracker because otherwise I forget. So I have to check it off when I actually go back and look at those other goals and things that I've set for myself for the week. So there no shame in that. The accountability piece, that's what I love. So now we're going to be taking a look at page 47, and this is the page that I think gets repurposed a little bit more than the previous page. We've got the meal plan, the mind body health plan, our shopping list, and also the I am loving space on this page. And I'm going to invite you, use them as they're printed, or feel free to change something up to work in your life. Here's a great example of how someone is using that meal plan, maybe a tracker, and they're dividing. They're doing their, what are they eating before noon? What are they eating between noon and 6? And what do they eat later on for dinner or in the evening? So looking at that meal plan. So it could be a tracker or a planner for the week. Ton of repurposing ideas there in the space to the right. And then I have some examples to show you as well. Things like habit trackers, chores, maybe a word of the day, a daily reflection. This past week, I've actually put my affirmations there. The week before, I used it just to track all the different types of fruits and vegetables I ate. So I kind of change it up from week to week, depending on what I'm sort of focusing on. There's a to-do list there. It's broken out into days, and so that this person feels like that's a more effective way of working their personal to-do list. The victory inventory someone shared, and I learned at the exclusive that this was an activity that this person's therapist was having them do each day. Look at those victories, which I love that idea. Also, don't forget about those little water droplets. They can be a powerful little mini tool for tracking not only what you drink, you can color code them so that oh, I didn't realize that pretty much everything I'm drinking is coffee during the day. But also, I love if you look over to the very far lower right, someone is using this as a check-in for feeling calm. So maybe looking at that word of that your feeling word for the week, and then just doing daily check-ins from time to time, and just kind of highlighting that water droplet. Yep, I am feeling calm, or I'm not feeling calm. I need to get to a place of calmness. So you can think about using those water droplets in a different way. And if you use those in a different way, please share that in the chat so that maybe we can benefit from that. Now, that mind body health plan, this to me is that little piece of heaven that's just for me. What am I going to do for me this week? Taking care of myself. And there's some fun graphics that I'm going to share with you. And then actually how Sonder family set themselves up by using those graphics. This is a weekly intentions. Don't worry, I'll go back and forth between all of these. Here's a little self-esteem reflection for each day. You could do, I love this, the how do I feel and what is that telling me that I need right now? Little check-in. And when I first saw this, I thought it was like an end of the day. How am I feeling? What do I need? And then I learned that this is actually something that someone does in the morning, to sort of set the pace of the day. How do I feel? And what is that telling me that I need right now? You can see there's some exercise, choices there on that bottom left. Maybe you're a Wordle person and you just track those words that you solve. Again, I like to lean into how am I taking care of myself? How am I being intentional with my body and my health? I love this. Someone changed it into a bingo board using fabulous stickers from our new sticker set. And so they made a bingo board to take care of their mind body health section this week. And then this is a fun thing to do. Just, how can you put a little celebration into every day? What national day of you celebrate this week? Or perhaps you'll lean into the alliteration days and do like a magical Monday. And what does that look like? What does that mean for you? And again, on this page, any of these things can go into any of these spaces. They're very flexible. Um, the 7 types of rest. It's wonderful to find out if you are lacking in an area of rest and just hone in on that. Perhaps you need social rest. And what does that look like? And your whole week can be formulated around social rest. Or you might want to just embrace a different type of rest and really incorporate that mindfully. Oh, how do I rest? How do I take a social rest? How do I find rest in creativity? How do I find a quiet rest when I'm looking through the lens of sensory rest? So, kind of, taking what you need, and just a reminder, instead of saying I did nothing today, say I rested today. I took some time for myself. I relaxed. I took a mental health day. Everyone needs to rest, including me. It's important. Um, and then finally, we have that shopping list, and I keep my shopping list electronically that I share with my husband, so whoever's out and about can get whatever's needed. So I repurpose my shopping list every week. You can use it as a shopping list, but there's a lot of ideas for repurposing that. Here are some fun examples. I shared that I kind of lacked in my routine, so I picked up routines and did a good morning and a good night routine. There's my good night routine on the bottom right, because routines are tricky for me since I don't have an outside of the home job anymore, and that 9 to 5, just anyway. So I worked on routines by using this space for that daily routine. Look at the one in the upper middle. What a great way to get on Sonder Club and track your affirmations and your daily rituals that you're doing that daily check-in with Sonder Club and the Sonder community. Also, who needs a weekly quest? Like you see the one in the bottom left, like, oh, the quest for the week. It makes me feel like a superhero if I think about that. Um, Also, look how this person created their own little checklist. Maybe this mind body health plan can go in that space, but a daily check off. And I always leave this social check in because I think it's so powerful. The people in our lives, especially as we've looked at how to be, vulnerable with others in our life, maybe we need to be reaching out and being mindful and creating something like this social check in. Again, some more examples of repurposing that shopping list space. We love bingo boards. I often put a bingo board there. And then finally, what are you loving? And I just want to remind you when your head hits the pillow tonight, remind yourself that you've done a good job. Be patient with yourself and remember that big things are achieved not all at once, but one day at a time. And that was just a good reminder to me that I just love it. Hit me at the right space. So let me put on some music while we work on this page. Tell us in the chat, what are you doing? What are you repurposing? Or do you use the page exactly as it is? Any repurposing of those water droplets? Just let us know because you will inspire the rest of us by how you set your page up. amazing work, everyone. You are getting that in that headspace for a fantastic week. I want to thank you for being here and encourage you to share your pages in Sonder Club. And also, I was saying last week, I don't know that everybody in Sonder Club understands the magic of gathering together with our accountability partners. So, share that in the chat, or in Sonder Club's chat. Let Sonder Club know like why you make time for these. Because I think the magic of being able to gather with you all, the community, it just, we have that accountability piece, we have that support, we know we're not alone, and I just think they're really, really special. So share that if you don't mind taking a few moments in Sonder Club. There are the QR codes that we like to share those important things. Malika's going to drop all the important links in the chat. Remember, this was being recorded as well as I think 700 other socials that you will have access to. Refer a friend to Silk and Sonder with that QR code. You'll get $10. They'll get $10. Of course, upgrading to an annual subscription will save you a lot of money, and then you can go buy those really cool sticker packs or do this monthly sticker subscription, which are mwah, they just make you, like I said, I'm not a sticker person, and I have used some of these stickers because I think they're fun. And then you will also receive a survey to follow up, and let us know your feedback. Let us know times that work for you, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Have a really, really great week. And think about how trust and being vulnerable will play into a fabulous week in your life. Thanks for joining us, Sonder family. I'll see you next time.
Picture a place where it all doesn't hurt, where everything's safe and it doesn't get worse. Oh my, we see through bloodshot eyes. Picture a place somewhere else far away, where you know what they mean and they mean what they say to us. And would that be enough? Are we running out of time? Are we hiding from the light? Are we just too scared to fight?